I want to show you how I use ChatGPT to help me out. So before, when I joined, so I do day trading, I do options. Um, I fucking love analyzing the S&P 500 my own fucking way. A thing that one of the hard times I had before when I first started this, when 2020 came, is that I had no idea how to read data. I thought data that you normally would get, for example, data that you normally would read, for example, today's data was initial jobless claims. If pretty much if I think that the numbers were too high based on, it would be just hard for me to understand what was the sentiment, what kind of market were we in. You Because you just thinking you're going up, the market goes up, that means the market just doing good and goes up. The market goes down, that means the market's going down. It's bad news. But even if the market going up, doesn't mean the economy is doing good and inflation and all this other stuff that's has to do with it. So what I would do now, or what I do now, is I'll get ChatGPT and, for example, I'll copy both of these weeks. So I'll get today's week along with next week, and I'll go to ChatGPT. And since ChatGPT, I talk to it and it knows what how I like my prompt, or my strategy, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, where I gather geopolitical news for the day. I get the president's activity and the president's schedule for the rest of the week. I then get the the economy's the economic calendar for the next 2 weeks. I then get also what investors pay attention to at the moment. That way, I get the whole sentiment of the whole market in general, from the big to the small, and whether it be earnings, all that stuff. I also take it in, what days it are, what days they're coming out, along with what data is coming and being released. Also, geopolitical wise, because it lets me know the sentiment of what's going on or whatnot. And then what I'll end up doing is it'll end up giving me a list. I'll tell it and rank it. Tell me which data is more important. That also, why the data is important. The sentiment of the market. What is the market? What's going on with the market. What's the sentiment? What kind of inflation? What kind of where we at or whatnot. And that's what it started giving me all this. For example, so I'll start by getting that, and automatically it'll tell me, what, for example, says this data overall says labor is slowing, but wages are still rising. That's mixed signal, which it usually creates early week sharp, then bigger move once market decides. Day by day Arizona time impact. Monday, 7 a.m. factory orders or whatnot, and then I can go with more even detail and tell you know what, I want you to actually explain to me what this data is, how it works, how to read it, what it is, how the market gonna react to it, how this data gonna align with the sentiment that the market is in right now, and then I'll tell you, since it knows we're in the whole rate cuts sentiment and all that shit going on, it knows already, so it included in that data. Oh, by the way, this is bad because it's bad for rates to stay higher, so therefore no interest rate cuts. So all these things. So I'll go down to two. So the next one, tell you what time it comes out, why it matters, and this is that. And then here comes the big day cluster, 7 a.m. And I think this was this last week. We go to Wednesday. So it gives me all the data. So after getting all this data and tell me which one's more important and how could this impact the market and why and this is that, labor weakening. Thursday summary, final real sign of labor weakening. Market starts watching Friday closely. And here I have Friday the 8th, main event. Well, actually this week. Uh, 5:30 Arizona time. NFP jobs report. Payroll 5:15, 55, much lower. Big drop if hiring. Yeah, because we want bad labor market. The stock market wants a bad labor market. So if we have bad labor market, along with the war is over, and what's gonna happen if we get that bad data, which is good for the market, is gonna fly the S&P, create a new all-time high, along with oil dropping finally below 92, or maybe staying because of the war still in the way. So what they're gonna do is over the weekend it's gonna be like, oh, we're gonna fix it over the weekend. They're still, like we said, they're still talking to us. So we got this, you guys. We're gonna fix it this weekend. And this weekend you're gonna either gonna see the S&P 500 open at a new all-time high, or go back to where we are right now, pretty much, which is, let me try to see if I can find this bitch. Here we are. All right, so let me bring it over here. So I'm gonna go over there. So what we're waiting for right now, like I said on my live video that you said earlier, you're gonna see China. So the Asia market is bringing the S&P 500, and 11:45, 12:30 Arizona time is very important. Why? Because that's the last forward candle that Asia has to make its move from 10 to 2. But 11:45, 12:30 is when the Asian market starts closing and the Europe starts coming in. So that's 11:45, 12:30, and we close the 12-hour candle at 2 in the morning for the S&P. So what are you gonna see? That's what I was saying. Where, sorry for the fucking lines and shit, but what you're gonna see is, if the S&P 500, let me take my fucking indicator off right here. Bam, bam. If you see the S&P 500 start rejecting, especially gonna be in point where we close this forward candle that closes at 10 p.m. Arizona time. So if the 10 p.m. we close still inside of here, from 10 to 12, we're gonna try to break this price right here, which is 7,358. If we reject around 11:45, 12:30, what's gonna happen? Europe's gonna step in. It's gonna start bringing it down here, and we're most likely gonna create support here in this region. And then 3 or 4 o'clock, wait for the data again. And if it's good, we're gonna push on up from 5:36. The market's gonna open at 6:30. Traders get trapped in this zone right here, and you're 7,391 and 7,367. And then around 7:35, going into 8, we finally break out and move and continue. But then the war is gonna be the other thing. The war could bring the S&P down a little bit with not being over. So they're gonna try to push the shit out of fucking on the news. Have, hey, we got this, you guys. War's over. We promise it's over. And they're gonna, so that the market continues flying on up. Or again, it's gonna be good news, which is bad for the stock market, and you're gonna see us wick down and test this 8-hour candle right here, and most likely finally break it, which is gonna be around your 7,322. There's an 8-hour candle. I wasn't even gonna talk about this shit. So if you stretch it out, you can see there's a trend line right here. And then it's gonna come down. If you get the bad news, it's gonna come down to it. And depending on also the bad news about the war, it's gonna move the market down. S&P hitting 7,264 tomorrow. But again, yeah, I wasn't gonna go into that. So let me go back into ChatGPT, like I was talking about. So after I do all that, I'm gonna try and make this shit all long. So after I do all that, okay, let me go. Let me show you currently where I am right now. Oh no, this was already. Oh, it's not even down yet. God damn it! My bad, you guys. There you go. All right. So what I'll do is I'll take a screenshot of Trading View from the 5 minute time frame all the way to the monthly. Not bad. All the way to the monthly. So I'll take a screenshot of the S&P 500 from the 5 minute time frame all the way down to the monthly or 3 monthly. And then what I'll do is I also will take a screenshot of the MACD from the 1 minute all the way to the 3 monthly. And then from there, I'll take those screenshots, put in ChatGPT, and on top of that, I'll go to Google and I'll look up geopolitical news for the day. So I'll do, like I said, I'll do geopolitical news, geopolitical update as of now. I'll do market, what are investors paying attention to, and what is the president doing for the day, and what action he's taking, and the rest of the schedule for the week. That way, ChatGPT has the whole information, and then it lines it up for me and it puts it into this form. It also, once the market closes, it knows that I like to have the have a Asia into Europe into New York setup. What prices to pay attention to, what time to pay attention to, because those forward candles are important, where they close and whatnot, and how Asia moves it. And I talked to ChatGPT, and it knows that now, so it'll include that into this report right here. So I'm gonna give you the report to let you know, so you can read it real quick, and I'm gonna scroll to it. Says why this matters to the market. The S&P is currently trading like a market that is strong structurally, but extremely sensitive to the macro shift. That means good data can become bearish, bad data can become bullish, momentum can reverse quickly, fake breakouts become common. Why? Because the market is trying to figure out, can earnings, liquidity, the economy strength continue supporting higher prices while rates and inflation risk remains elevated? Why? Because also the war. This war causes more fucking economic fucking inflation to everybody. So this doesn't make fucking any better. So then it goes current global theme, Middle East oil risk. The Strait of Hormuz situation remains of large macro risk. Why it matters: higher oil, inflation pressure, harder for rates to fall, higher rates, pressure on equities. Then trade wars, we got that involved too. The market is also reacting to new terrorist threats, global trade fragmentation, de-dollarization concerns. This matters because weaker trade, slower global growth, supply chain pressure, pricing pressure. Of course, yo, we're gonna fucking feel this shit. People don't get this shit. How fucking we're gonna fucking get fucked with all this shit. Weaker growth expansion hurts risk appetite. We got the whole market is also watching European defense spending, U.S. military repositioning, global geopolitical uncertainty. This impacts energy bonds, defense stocks, risk sensitive. Top resistance distribution 7,248 to 7,255. This zone is critical. Price repeats, rejections here, lost momentum here. So let me show you the S&P 500 again real quick. So what did it say? What you say? So 248 and 255. So this zone down here. This is the zone that you don't want the market to go down below with. This is the area that you gotta maintain. So this gives me all this extra trend structure. It also notes the 8 hour trend, extremely important around 6 a.m. So it actually considered the 8 hour candle and the 8 hour candle trend line that I mentioned. So this one right here that starts from down here and stretches, makes contact here. You stretch it out, and we're right above it. So to me, that's a good setup of tomorrow, especially with the bad news of the war that we're gonna go down. So that's why at 5:30. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, man. I know it's too much, and I'm probably fucking too boring or confusing people with all this shit or whatnot because I'm just scrolling. And people can't really see it. But if you could fucking really put all this information together, whatnot, and understand what ChatGPT is telling you, it even tells me, hey, your Asian season playbook, 3 p.m. Arizona time, futures opens. This is mainly positioning, liquidity setup, reaction to overnight headlines. This is not always a real move. Watch whether price accepts below, above, or below control, whether volatility expands immediately, whether the market traps early participants. 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Arizona time, first 4 hours, Asia candle. Uh, it's actually the second one, the final one. This candle tells you, does Asia actually want to continue? This candle is crucial because if price cannot break resistance here, momentum may not be strong enough yet. What you watch out for, bullish if this candle is set above to way above that shit. What was I gonna say? Oh, you wanna see where I'm at right now? You see how it's gonna be 10 o'clock and has a hard time breaking? So, another thing to pay attention to is oil. See, a 92, between 92 and 100, so this is 92. So from right here to 100 is we're going into war and we're going out of war. And here we're having talks. So if tomorrow morning we get good data and the S&P starts rising, especially tonight at 11 o'clock or 12, you're going to see oil start going down and breaking down to these regions down here. If the S&P starts breaking down and starts going down and we get bad news, especially at 5:30, you're going to see oil spike up and start going back up. But you're going to see how oil is going to stay at in between $96.25 to $94.91. But it's going to be consolidating here because, like I said, also oil in the 12-hour time frame is right above also a 12-hour candle 50 Fibonacci. Not just that, on the daily, it's right above a daily 50 Fibonacci, and it also is perfect. As soon as we come and the S&P starts breaking on up in the morning, and if it does, you're gonna see oil go back down here to $94.91, and boom, finally start breaking that shit. And if not, it's gonna fucking go back down. Watch tonight. It's gonna maintain, especially. It's all gonna be how S&P starts breaking. If S&P starts breaking and we start creating all-time high throughout the nighttime, 11:45, 12:30 onto 2, you're gonna see oil come back down and come back into this section right here. This is your daily. And then once we also get good news or whatever, and spikes keeps going up, you're gonna see oil come back here and fucking start dropping around that same time. You're 3 or 4 o'clock in the fucking morning, going on to 5:30 in the morning Arizona time. I know that's too much because you're seeing through a little small screen. That's why I like going live and watching the whole screen because Maya just talks a lot too. But I know what the fuck I'm talking about. That's why pay attention to oil, especially pay attention to 11:45, 12:30 Arizona fucking time. All right, this is Brian Seacrest signing the fuck out.